Okay, the first step when you're upgrading your radio system is to remove your old receiver. Let's go ahead, unplug everything out of it, and set it off to the side because you're not going to need it. Then you're going to want to go ahead and mount your new receiver. And when you mount it, I usually use double-sided tape. Just mount it in a way that you don't have to worry about your antenna wires getting caught up in anything. So on this receiver, the very first port is the bind port, and what that is you put the small little plug in there and you bind this receiver to the transmitter you're going to use. The next port up is your throttle port, and that would be your ESC, and it's got little marks on here to show you where the positive and negative wire goes. The negative wire goes all the way down, the white wire will go towards the label. So your throttle is your ESC. Okay, the next one is your aileron, and for me, I always make this servo my aileron servo, so that's going to be this wire. Come down and plug that in. Alright, next one is the elevator. The elevator is the front servo, so I'm going to go ahead and plug this one in. The next one is for the gyro, and if you're just upgrading the radio system and your helicopter was previously set up, you're still going to want to go through and reset up the gyro and everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this unplugged for the moment. And this one's got a GY401 Futaba head holding gyro. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to center my tail servo. And to do that, what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to plug my tail servo directly into the rudder port. And this is because this way I can get my tail servo to center without being influenced by any movement from or any input from the gyro. Keep going. So the last one here, well actually, I'm sorry, next one up, the gear channel. That is usually the remote wire for your gyro. And then the last one, auxiliary 1, that is my pitch servo. And I always make my pitch servo the one on the opposite side, over here. So anyways, that's the connections to the receiver. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bind plug, stick my bind plug right down in there, and we'll get ready to bind the receiver to my transmitter. Okay, now before I bind my transmitter to my receiver, I want to go ahead and make sure on my transmitter that I've got it set up on a blank model. I want to make sure I've got it set for helicopter, and there's usually a couple other things I like to go in here and change first. So first, go down to the very bottom, setup list, and this was where you would select model type if it was an airplane. If it was already set on airplane, you want to just make sure it's set on helicopter. Alright. Then I'm going to go down, model name. This is where you can go ahead and enter in the name. Go back out. Next I'm going to go down to the swash plate type. And this is where I'm going to set it for 120 degree. And then I'm going to go out all the way down to adjust list. That'll bring me back out to the main menu here. And then the rest of this I'm just going to leave alone for the moment. Go back to the main menu, and now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn this off because I got to plug the helicopter in first. Okay, transmitter's off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in my receiver, and you'll see that it's flashing. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is on the top of my transmitter, I've got all these switches back, these ones are all up, the throttle stick is down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this switch all the way back, and then I'm going to turn my transmitter on. It's beeping, and when this light goes solid, when that goes solid, you release this switch. After it goes solid, you let go of the switch. Now you can go ahead and unplug the bind plug. Okay, so when I'm going through and setting it up, first thing I'm going to do is this switch on the top. I'm going to pull this one back, and then I'm going to take my throttle stick, I'm going to put it right at dead center. Alright. And this is where I'm going to leave my transmitter, my throttle stick there. And now what I want to do is I want to go through and get my servo arm centered. And you want to try to get them as close to 90 degrees as you can to the servo. Sometimes they're not going to be perfectly 90 degrees, but that's okay because we can go through and adjust for that in a second. So we'll go ahead and put these on. This front one, you want to get the servo horn 90 degrees to the servo. And it's weird because the servo is angled, so a lot of people try to get it angled a little differently there. But again, you want the servo horn 90 degrees to the servo. So now that I've got all my servo arms on there, what I want to do is I want to adjust and make sure that they're all moving in the right direction. So when I push forward stick, I want this front linkage to be pulled down, and I want both back linkages to be pushed up. Now, when I push, again, I'm pushing forward stick, and when I do that, this one does come down, this one does go up, and on the other side, this one goes down. Instead, I want it to go up. Alright, so I know when I go forward and backward that this one is reversed. So now when I go left and right, I want this, when I go left, I want this one to come down and this one to go up. This one goes up, but this one also goes up. So this servo is still reversed. So because I've only got, one other thing I'm going to check is on my throttle stick, I'm going to move it, throttle stick up, and I want to make sure that all three servos would move the swash plate up. All of them are doing the right thing except for my aileron servo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in on my transmitter, all the way to the bottom to setup list, and go to reverse. I'm going to go ahead and go to reverse my aileron servo. Alright, now it will operate the way I want it to. When I go forward, it'll push the swash plate up. When I go backwards, it'll pull it down. You know, when I go left, it'll pull this part of the swash plate down. And when I go full pitch, it'll bring the swash plate up. So now all my servos are moving in the right direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure again that I've got throttle at mid-stick. And now what I want to do is, again, I wanted to try to get my servo horns 90 degrees to the servo. But some of them aren't. So now what you do is you, on your transmitter, oops, I'm going to go to the adjust list, I'll go to sub trim, go in there, and for like my aileron, see here, that's not quite at 90 degrees. So all you do is turning it up or down. You can actually move the servo arm and adjust it either way until you get it perfectly 90 degrees. And I think that's probably good. And then just hit the button again. And there, like I've got, looks like 53 sub trim on that to get it pretty much where I want. So I adjust my sub trims for all three servos, and assuming that your helicopter was all set up before you took it apart, as long as you make sure your servo arms are 90 degrees to your servo, your head should still be set up. But I'm still going to go through and verify that my swash plate is level. Let's connect these all up now. And if anything isn't level on my swash plate, now I'm going to go back through and adjust it. And it actually looks like it is a little low in the back. So I'm going to go through, make sure my swash plate's level, go up, make sure the upper mixing arms are all level, and then check the blade pitch, the overall pitch, and I'll adjust for that in a second. If a lot of times when you give it full pitch, you're only going to have maybe, like when you're first setting it up, you're only going to have maybe 5-6 degrees pitch. So a lot of times you're going to have to add more pitch. And to do that with the DX6i here, all you do is you go to your swash mix and you just increase it. So if you're on positive 60, you could just increase it, and if you watch very closely, it'll actually give it more pitch. And it gives it more pitch both up and down. So, and then if you lower it, it'll give you less pitch, less maximum pitch, both up and down.